All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 156 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I am your host, as always, actually, or majority of the time, Julian Gill, admin on the FAQ message board. I'm sorry, Ken, that was like a little knife in your ribs, wasn't it?
I agree with you.
It's like, oh dear.
Still hosting, even if you're not here, you're still hosting.
We're off to a good start there, and Ken's reaching for the disconnect, you bastard, Julian. I'll ban you. So, obviously, I am joined today by 69th Blizzard, Ken, and I remembered his name this week, and stranger, Daniel Weeze. Yeah. It is always good to have you on the show and talk some Kiss and rock and roll. So, let's just go through a little bit of the news, stuff that just popped up in the last days. Gene Simmons' Vault Experience. And, of course, you can read all about that at genesimmonsvault.com. He's added some Vault experiences in different places and shifting some dates around. So, hopefully, if you've paid to do one of these in a place that he's now changed, I think Atlanta has been shifted around, go to the site and check out these dates, because he added, and just looking through the list, he added one in, I think it was Nashville, Memphis, Cleveland, where else? Oh yeah, Oslo. I know there are some people who are going to go to Stockholm, and some others have been condensed into one day. So presumably, if yours is affected, you will have received an email from them. They did send an email out the other day that I received saying that my special Vault pack was going to ship this week, and that was going to include all the goodies. And I think they've also announced the location for LA. I saw a flyer someone posted. I'm not sure how.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so now I can actually sort out getting a hotel down there. So, you know, that's the Vault. And nothing else really going on in the Kiss world as such. You know, we're in the quiet part of the year when we're doing Christmas, Hanukkah, and the holidays and all that stuff. So the band is off the road. Paul Stanley, do you want to go there, Ken? Tweeting about the Eagles? To all you whiners.
Yeah, well, I saw the post about it on the board, saying he's basically posting, you know, here's the Eagles. They have only one original member in the band, and look, you know, they're doing well, and people are not going to go into their sold out concerts. They're not going to complain about it, and you know. Basically, he's talking to the Kiss fans that complain about, two members. They only have two members, and there's two new guys, and so I don't know. He's still, I don't know, up in arms about that, and I think he's just preparing maybe us for a original member. Yeah, we're gonna leave, and we're gonna still keep this going, folks. You know, no matter what.
We're gonna keep taking your money, but it will be someone else up on stage.
Exactly.
Oh God.
And there it is.
Oh,
Paul Stanley is half-eaten spaghetti or whatever.
You know, I've got no problem with Paul sharing his photos of food. A lot of it doesn't appeal to me. I find it bombastic and kind of ego-driven food. But I would be very fascinated with Paul's passion for cooking to actually see him do a cookbook. I would buy it. I don't use cookbooks because I don't need them.
But I don't know how it is over in America, but here in Sweden, every famous guy makes a cooking book. You know, I have a friend. He was he was competing in biathlon. He actually won the Olympic gold medal at one point, and he just got in contact with a writer that was good at cooking, and they released a book, and he sold like hundreds of thousands of copies, made a fortune.
Oh yeah, and why not? Fair is fair. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is it ends up like Gene's books being sold for $2. less than likely with Paul because of his attention to detail, and you could just see that he would have lifestyle tips on, staying fit, because come on, he stayed fit for much of his career, except for running into stuff on stage or having car accidents. He's been a very healthy guy. He's lived a great lifestyle. He's had plenty of roughage and, of course, exercise. Sorry, the Kiss Exposed tape will always live on. So I would actually be interested in Paul Stanley cookbook, and with nice pictures of what he's cooking. I don't care if I like the stuff, with little lifestyle things, maybe a Kiss tie-in for, he could, what this song makes him think of food wise. This is his shouted out loud meal, shit like that. It could just be kind of cornball, but kind of neat. So Paul, I don't need to see your half-eaten scraps that belong in the compost heap. Do a cookbook. That'd be fun. You're already halfway there with the Cooking with Paul on the cruise. All right, so that was it. And back to the Eagles. Joe Walsh, I think, gets disrespected by that comment, but that's neither here nor there.
I agree. Yeah.
I would absolutely never pay to go see the Eagles now. Anyway, it's just not a reasonable expectation. So let's get into today's topic. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, we are at the end of the year. So not much more is going to happen in December, Kiss-wise. So we're going to look back at the year and pick our personal top 5 favorite Kiss-related things that have either occurred that we've enjoyed or that we've participated in and enjoyed. And we'll top it off with our one least favorite Kiss moment from the year. So Ken, why don't we go straight to you for one of your picks and tell, just how did you organize your thoughts for this? Did you say, I want to have a book, I want to have a magazine or something? How did you go for it?
No special organization. I'm not too organized, so I didn't organize the list, and I just it's more off the top of my head, really. I thought about it a little bit ahead of time. And I thought, okay, well, yeah, this and that. There wasn't a whole lot, really, to choose from, in my opinion. Not a whole lot. And if we're talking 5, do you want me to give you maybe number 5 and go up to number 1? Start with 5?
How does Daniel want to do it?
I don't know. He's busy.
Oh, yeah, he's looking for mute. Why don't we start with number 5 and work our way to our most favoritist? Can I really ruin the English language?
Most favorite?
Our most favoritist.
Yeah, I'll start with 5. I'm going to go with number 5. I will go with a book. I'll go with the Lynn Christopher book as my number 5.
Do you actually mean Lynn Goldsmith?
From Goldsmith. Why did I say Christopher? I don't know why. I'm thinking of something else, aren't I? But anyway, I'm thinking of the singer, aren't I?
Yeah, you are. You're back.
That's kind of funny. That's a mix-up.
You're back in 1972.
Weird. I'm sorry. Lynn Goldsmith book that just came out recently. The gold one back here, or the silver one, that is. That's a top one because of the, and we talked about it on the book tip. It's all great pictures that she took in her sessions, and high quality book. I mean, it's just the cover itself is just so
the cover
nice.
Is hellishly impressive, as was the price.
I could use it as a pillow if I want, maybe. But it's just great pictures, and it's good to see those pictures and other ones that she took back then, between 77 and 80, I believe. And I enjoy it. It's something I'm going to go back to and look at pull out every now and then when I want to see some cool pictures. So yeah, that would be my number 5 for this year.
What was your, if you don't mind me asking, did you have a favorite photo section out of that book? Was there one picture or one photo shoot that you're like, wow, that's absolutely stunning, the one that really gets your attention out of that book that you think people might want to check out if they haven't already?
I can't pick one because there's just too many. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff in there. You're just going to enjoy if you're a Kiss fan. Yep. I like looking at pictures of the band back then, Dynasty or Unmasked or a little bit before. It's just great to look at it. So yeah, I can't pick out one.
Agreed. Top-notch quality. Very well done. Congratulations, Lynn, on getting that into print. Daniel, let's go to you. And you were having a sidebar with your family when I was talking about... We're not going to really organize this in any way. You want to start with your number 5 and work your way to your favorite thing from the year. Go for it. What's your first pick from it?
Well, one thing that struck me this year was the live performances. And it wasn't really Kiss's live performances. It was some of the other guys, because I've always been into the music and the live performances. Books are great and all, but that can't really compare with the live experience, even though I haven't been able to see anything live myself. You still can, get a feel for how it is, from YouTube. And this year's biggest surprise to me was a live performance, not by Kiss, but by Bruce Kulick. And it wasn't, everyone thinks about the Kiss cruise now, but if you really think about it, he had a short tour of Australia back in, I don't know, April or something. And I really loved that live performance. There is a few good videos on YouTube, and I like the set list. He managed to get a hold of a quite a good band and a pretty good singer, and the set list is absolutely fantastic. And I remember we did a show on this on the KissFAQ podcast about what we were hoping for, and what we got was really a blend of the Hot in the Shade tour and the Revenge tour. I mean, if you look at the songs they performed, everything is from those two tours. Detroit Rock City, Juice, Detroit Rock City, Juice, Watching You. Those songs they played on the Revenge tour. And then you had a few from Revenge, Domino, God Gave Rock and Roll to You. And then also on the Hot in the Shade tour, they performed Hide Your Heart, and he did as well on this Australian tour, and Crazy Nights. The only one that he performed in Australia that they didn't perform back in 1990, 1992 was a song from Carnival of Souls, and it was a great addition. Jungle, one of the better songs of Carnival of Souls. So all in all, the set list on that tour was fantastic, even though the attendance from what I heard was abysmal. It was terrible. But I would have liked that. Of course, you can always wish for things, and I would have liked him to release that as a live record, because it really captures the way Kiss sounded when he was at the height of his powers in Kiss, from the Hot in the Shade tour through the Revenge tour. So I really like that one. And of course, the Kiss cruise as well. Bruce Kulick did a fantastic job there. I never really knew how much I missed the 80s deep cuts until I saw that show.
Mm-hmm.
Who Wants to Be Lonely sounded phenomenal. And the one from Crazy Nights, Turn on the Night.
Turn on the Night, indeed.
Yeah, was incredible. And if that wasn't enough, they added a few of the big songs, like I think they did a few. Well, really, they didn't do. Did they do Rock and Roll Night and stuff like that?
No,
they did.
Not at all.
They
stuck Killers.
Yeah. So the Australian tour, he went for the big hits from his era, and he added a few hits from the classic Kiss, and that was fantastic. And then for the cruise, he did something completely different. They played the deep cuts from the Paul Stanley Soul record, Killers, Alive 2, and some of the Bruce Kulick albums. So I think Bruce Kulick, if they could somehow bring that on tour, mixing the two, some deep cuts, some classics, I think it would be interesting to see. But but for me, Bruce Kulick, I just say it first. I think this is one of my top 3 at least, but I say it first before anyone else picks Bruce Kulick. So Bruce Kulick for me is one of the high points of this year.
Yeah, and one of the things with Bruce's tour of Australia is go over to YouTube and just punch in Live Australia Thunder Down Under tour. And it's got him with the lads from Sisters Doll, who also backed Peter Criss during the year. And it's the full show. It's 67 minutes of Bruce again, and with those young guys, and they're really professional, which I didn't know what to expect when I first heard that these were the guys who are going to be backing them. I love the idea of Bruce being able to combine more stuff maybe in the future now that Kiss has seen the response to the 80s forgotten era. Bruce has seen the response to his kind of forgotten era. The only thing that kind of saddens me about the stuff Bruce has done this year is that Union was kind of omitted from it. And, I know he was doing his Kiss catalog, but I was always a big Union guy. I would love just to see one song done, even if John's not there to sing it. But Bruce has been a surprise this year. And I don't know if anyone was on Facebook yesterday, but he posted a picture of himself posing with the 15 custom banana guitars that he did as the anniversary for Crazy Nights album. So Bruce is getting active in some areas of merchandise. He's staying active musically, obviously still doing the Grand Funk stuff. So that's a great pick, Daniel. All right, I'm going to get my first one in. And I've written, just thrown down 5 things that I really enjoyed this year, and I'm going to decide which one's going to be the number 1 pick as I go through it. I think number 5 is going to be Kiss in Reno, April. Obviously made the drive to Reno, had a great time at the show-ish. I remember raged because I did the meet and greet package. The meet and greet was absolutely fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed, the acoustic set and finally getting to see that, having done meet and greets in 2003 and 2004 when they were completely different. Totally enjoyed that experience. Was absolutely furious and pissed off by the seating arrangements for the concert. But you know what? I was at a Kiss concert this year when I didn't expect I was going to be. So I enjoyed it. I had fun. But, the meet and greet is the high point. And I still recommend, while they're still doing them, if you haven't done them, if you are able to do them, go and do it, because it was a fantastic experience. They took all the time in the world, to sign stuff for people. I'd like Gene to let people put stuff against the wall so that he can sign properly rather than holding up in the air. But Paul was very gracious. Tommy and Eric were very cool. Keith was fantastic, and all the guys who work with them to get them set up were very cool, even if the sound sucked at that particular one. So it was a very fun thing. I'm glad I did it. After, nearly, 12 years since the last one. Very much worthwhile. So that's my number 5 pick. Let's go back to you, Ken, for number 4.
Yeah, well, number 4 for me is, and it'll be quick because Daniel already kind of talked about it. So the performance of the Kulick Brothers band there on the Kiss Cruise was a big deal for me. I mean, I find watching that, I'm watching that more than I'm watching the Kiss live performance on the cruise. Even though Kiss had, brought out a couple of solid, nuggets out there with, Is That You and I, for instance. But I think just Bob and Bruce went above and beyond. I don't think anyone expected that they were going to do that kind of show. Maybe they thought they were going to do more of their solo stuff from Bruce's solo albums or Bob's other stuff. But no, they gave the fans, the Kiss fans, what they wanted, and pulled out all the stuff where either Bob or Bruce was involved with. Again, we talked about the Live 2 cuts, stuff like Larger Than Life. I was like, holy cow! I mean, I always wanted to hear that one live. And going up through even Killers. I mean, come on, Nowhere to Run. holy cow, it's another one. And then a lot of the Bruce's stuff, like Daniel mentioned, Who Wants to Be Lonely, and so on, stuff that was from that non-makeup period that he was in. So it was just one cut after another. And Paul's solo album, of course, the first one, of course, in '78. And man, I just, there's nothing bad about that whole performance. It was great. And it's another reason that Tam said maybe they can pull some kind of club tour or something if they have the time to do it. I think it would sell at least as many tickets as maybe Gene's getting in his solo shows, or Ace, even, for that fact. So I just think that was just fantastic, and I'm glad they did it. And everyone, there's not one person I heard who said that show sucked or anything like that. It was pretty much the highlight of the cruise, from what I am hearing, and I was not on the cruise.
Yep, and that's what, has been the big theme, is Bruce killed it, and Bob, of course, and Bob is supporting a new album, Skeletons in the Closet. But they could go on tour together, because they both toured with Meatloaf. They can add in some Meatloaf stuff that they enjoyed doing back in '77, '78. They both toured, were a part of Blackjack. Bob was initially, so they can do some of that. And of course, he wrote with Michael Bolton and played on, I think he also played on Michael's first album, the '83 album. So there's some of that more, rocking stuff out of that, combined with the Kiss stuff, without a doubt, it could be very interesting. So, great thoughts on that. Daniel, let's go to your number 4 pick.
Well, I was really never a big fan of this guy, but it was sure nice to see him go off in style. And I'm, of course, talking about Peter Criss and his last performance. They did a brief tour of Australia, and then they played, I think, one gig in America. And
right.
I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, I remember being so disappointed when they did the reunion. And I went to Stockholm and saw them 2 nights. And the drumming, you know the story. He wasn't a great drummer at that point of time. So I mean, that's my biggest memory of Peter Criss, him disappointing me when I was seeing Kiss live for the first time. But this show was something completely different. It was like a lounge Frank Sinatra feel to it, and it suited the Peter Criss songs really well. And I actually enjoyed some of the cuts from his solo album that I really never paid attention to. They worked well in that setting. And he added a few classics, of course, and had some small talk with the audience. He seemed very gracious, and I think it was just a fantastic way for him to end things. And he sang really well. I mean, and he played drums for a few songs, and I think he sounded better than he did 20 years ago back when he did the reunion tour. So it was a great end for Peter Criss, and I just, as I'm always hoping for, I wish they filmed it or something and did something with it, but I guess they didn't. So we'll have to remember it from the YouTube videos. But I think it was a great show, and I really enjoyed it. I was surprised, but that's one of my picks.
They did actually film both of them, and that is my prayer, my hope for next year, is that they do knock it together and release it. I, obviously was there, and I'll talk more about that in a few moments. My next pick, wow, what's it gonna be? You know what? The Rockin' Pod Expo in Nashville in August, organized by Chris Czynszak and the Decibel Geek guys, of course. You got to give a big shout out to BJ Cramp and the Rock and or Roll podcast, for his work for that event as well. For me, what makes it such a great part of the year is that it was an opportunity to meet so many people that I've known online for so many years. In some case, for decades. I mean, I've known them so long that their pictures are in black and white. To get to meet Ken Mills, to see Gary Schaller again, obviously he lives locally and I don't see anyone very often. To meet Chris, to meet BJ, who I've done podcasts with, to meet Joe Polo, so many, and I can't do everyone's name, so many people, but most importantly, personally, was to meet Mark and Lonnie, who I've done so many episodes of this podcast with. For me now, I hate online to so many extents because of the trolls, because of the negativity, just how everything gets off kilter. To be in Nashville, where I also said that I've never been to the South in America. It was a fantastic opportunity to go to the South, go to a music center of the country where, you had guys like Mark Slaughter, Denman, Scott Van Zandt, just so much music going on that weekend as well. And to interact with people and also set up a stand and meet people who listen to our show and also purchase my books. It was just absolutely incredible. And it was so much fun. And again, I will always live with the fun of the jam session with the fantastic Lee McCormick organizing everything at the end and getting up on stage and being out of key.
Your singing.
Oh, I was out of key. I couldn't hear shit. But I had so much fun. I want to do it again, and I want to do some Neil Young next time. It's just one of those things. It was so much fun, so relaxed, so chill, no grief, no stress. I know it didn't go as perfectly as Chris would have wanted, but the guy busted his balls to put on a very good event. And you know what? He did a fantastic job with it. It was good quality. I think it was value for money. And I would be one of the first people to sign up for Rockin' Pod 2. So, thank you, Nashville. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, BJ. And everyone else who was a part of such a special moment. And getting to, sit in the lobby of a hotel when Ken Mills meets Gary Schaller for the very first time after decades of knowing each other it was reaffirming. It was just nothing but love that weekend. So that's my number 4 pick. Ken, let's go back to you for number 3.
Okay, yeah, my number 3 pick is going to be another book. It's actually the book that just came out is the Kiss My Wax, the Kiss LP Bible. Tom Shannon has put together very nicely. I've been kind of waiting for that since he announced he was doing that book for quite a long time, working on it, and I think there's only in that book something like over 1,800 variants of Kiss albums throughout the world and stuff. And there's a checkoff list and great pictures in there of all those albums and labels, the labels, center labels. And I've been, the last 2 years collecting Kiss vinyl because I saw, I was getting back into vinyl after disposing all of my vinyl years before. I only had a few copies left, so I was really starting to get back into it, and it's a perfect time, and now I can pick and choose things that I find interesting. If I look in that book, I can say, okay, this is something that looks cool, and I want to try to find that copy, and then the other ones I'll just to check off the list. Okay, yeah, I have this one. I'm not going to get every Kiss album out there. It's just too much. Too much money, and so on. Just the ones that I find unique or interesting, or a colored vinyl, or something that's just different. I'll pick or a certain country just to get one album from that specific country. I'll do that kind of thing, which I've done. So it's a cool book, and I'm just glad he put it out, and I can kind of track my stuff and just page through the book and look at the stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, we said it last week. It's great to have seen Tom bring this from, an idea into reality. And we've gotten to watch him along the road, because obviously the Kiss My Wax and Kiss My Collectibles podcasts, have been an important component of the whole process. And Tom's been really fun to kind of watch how he's approached the topic, how he's put it together. So kudos to him. Again, it can't be stressed. I was thinking about, do I put a book in my list? And that would have been the pick for me as well. As good as all the other ones that have come out during the year, notably the 89 Paul Stanley Solo Tour by Kiss Army Spain and Kiss Classified by the Scandinavians, incredible books. And Lynn's, of course, we've been spoilt for choice this year. But, Tom, I think, takes the cake with the amount of effort that's gone into that. All right, Daniel, let's go to your number 3 pick.
I'm just wondering what puts that book ahead of all the others. What's the thing with that book that I haven't read it?
For me, it's about, I guess, my newly or refound passion for collecting the Kiss vinyl. I mean, I got the all the of course the 2014 remasters, of course, on vinyl Kiss had, but going back to the ones that I had disposed of or traded in for the CD version when that was hot at the time, like around 1990 or something like that. So I didn't get rid of all my vinyl at that time, but I did get rid of some of my Kiss vinyl. I didn't have it anymore. I had my first copy I bought Alive 2 and
I remember that.
Maybe a couple other ones, but I didn't keep everything. So
it's for the vinyl freaks.
It's the vinyl, the sound of the vinyl is just to me, I find it better, and it's just whatever. It makes me happy.
The book isn't just for people who collect vinyl, because I don't collect anymore. I'm still selling off my collection because I'm done with it, because it doesn't give me any happiness. Instead, now I've got a book that I can actually sit there and look at these things, and I don't have to go buy the fuckers, which, that sounds like a win-win to me. $108 for the book set, and I get to look at the pictures. And, I guess I was jealous and, interested in it because that's where the FAQ started. Me trying to record all the different versions. What was the release in Sweden? What was it in Singapore? So now I've got an alternative. So even if you're not a collector, I say it's worthwhile because you get pictures of all the inserts. It's just, it's the discography.
Yeah. Okay. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, and Julian has written, I believe you wrote the intro kind of information to each album, so it talks a little bit about the album and so on in there. And for instance, like this, The Elder, one of Julian's favorites.
He wrote a lot about that album. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool, and I'll just throw another one here. A bunch of different.
My days. Yeah.
So it's cool to see all this stuff where when they change something on the album, or it's different than another country did this or that, did a gatefold or didn't do a gatefold, or did a red colored vinyl or didn't. It's just interesting. Yeah.
What a nerd. Yeah. I love the nerds. It's the best thing in the world. The nerds. They are the best people. I love it. Yeah.
There you go.
I'm one of them.
All right, so what's your number 3 pick then, Daniel?
My number 3 pick. Oh, let's see. I'd say, this hasn't really come into fruition yet, but just by the anticipation, I think this is one of the biggest thing of the year. And it's mostly because we haven't seen this guy for a while. My pick is actually the announcement that Vinnie Vincent will become a public figure once again. And I think the last time was like in 96, 97 or something like that. And I've always been a fan of Vinnie Vincent. Not always, but he has grown on me because I became a fan in the mid-80s. Asylum, Animalize, worked my way back. And as you know, the 70s albums, they don't sound like Asylum or Animalize. But Lick It Up and Creatures of the Night are pretty similar. And Creatures of the Night certainly is a better album, I'd say. And after learning a few things, I came to the understanding that Vinnie Vincent was the main guy for those two albums. Or at least it was a big... he was important Without him, I don't think those albums would have been as great as they are. So seeing him again, maybe he has become a bit wiser, a bit older, and he can share a few things. We really don't know. He's such an enigma. So it's pretty exciting. Will he show up? Yes. Or will he disappear again? What will he say about the years he has been gone? What has he been up to? Will he share that? I think that will be a great expo. That will be one of the best expos ever. And and it's not such a long time until the expo, isn't it? In like the 20th of January or something like that.
Yeah, that weekend. So we're just a little bit more than a month away from it happening.
Yeah, looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and there's again, I'm going. I can't wait. A lot of people are coming in from all over the world. So again, it's going to be an opportunity to meet so many more friends that I've known online for years, shake hands, have a beer, and do a table at the expo. And that's all I'm interested in. I'm hoping that Joe Polo and podcasts.
Please, I can have a beer.
Yeah, well, you can. I can. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm hoping Podcast Rock City's next to me on one side and Tom and Kiss My Wax are on the other, and that'll just be a cool little enclave of fun. And who the hell knows what else is going to happen? I'm going to take it all, positively. What the hell are you drinking? Is that Budweiser? Oh, okay.
Something.
My girlfriend, she actually gave me, what's it called? A Christmas calendar, 24.
Advent calendar.
You have that in America, a calendar. You open in Swedish, it's called lucka. What's it, like?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Advent.
What do you say? You open what's this?
Oh, panel?
Yeah, the door.
Okay. Panel. You open a panel every day.
Door, yeah.
And my calendar, it's a beer calendar. So this is the one I opened today.
That's the beer for today.
Beer day until Christmas. I love it.
Well, actually, just on a quick tangent on that, last year I sent my father a whiskey one. It had little miniatures of scotch for each day of Advent. So he enjoyed them all. I think my sister gets a chocolate one and eats them all in one go. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, agreed. Atlanta is going to be interesting. Ken, any thoughts on Atlanta?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, from my understanding, it's going to be a lot of people there that we know online, at least, like you said. And it's going to be interesting to see, like you said, is Vinny really going to show? Since he has his meet and greet, 2 days now, the Friday and Sunday of that weekend are the meet and greets. So I think, and it'll be interesting to see what he's going to do on the actual day of the main convention. Will he come out there? Will he play guitar, electric guitar with somebody, band, Bruce? Or is Bruce going to be there? No, Bob. I mean,
Bob will be there. Yeah.
And so, hey, it's some
I'm just
maybe
hoping
magic could happen. Who knows?
And maybe he could start recording stuff again. Maybe this can be the starting point of something new when he realizes that he has a lot of fans still to this day. People want to hear his music, and maybe, just maybe, he records some new stuff and releases it, and I would buy it instantly.
Yeah, because Vinny can sing as well as play guitar. His Back on the Streets and Tears demos, oh my goodness, to this day, get all moist thinking about that. So who knows? I hope he comes out briefly. I hope they take good care of him. And Derek, I'm sure, will. Take good care of Vinny. Make sure he makes good coin and it's worth his while. And, to the fans going, leave your baggage, go in there, have a good time, respect him for what he is. I know it's hurtful. Some of you did lose money on his archives back in 97. Try and move on from there and have a good time. Go there with a good positive attitude and wait and see what happens. Don't go in there all antagonistic and angry. Let's see what happens. Give Vinny a chance. That's and let's just hope for the best. I hope Vinny's aware of Gene Simmons' vault. I hope he's aware of Neil Young's archives, and that the interest that there is for music by fans. So, all right, let's get on to my number 3 pick. All right, Number 3 was finally concluding a deal for an unreleased video this year, which allowed us the opportunity to marry it up with another video of the same show, actually 2 other videos from the same show, and put together a pretty sweet multicam of an unreleased show on the Hot in the Shade tour. So Andrew Scambatti obviously did the editing work on that, put it all together. There's a teaser up on YouTube. No, the whole show is not getting put out there for free. That's not how things work. But it took a long time to get this show, and it was so cool for me because I missed that tour because I was in Singapore.
Yeah.
To be able to see from like a front row perspective and better angles than the pro shots that were released on Kissology. So that was just my number 3, just because it's something that took a while to come together and took a fair amount of money and effort to put all of it together into the form that it is that I'm able to watch now. So that's not a brag. That's not bragging or a fuck you to anyone who can't see it. It's just one of the things that makes me happy that I was able to do. So let's move on to your number 2 pick, Ken.
Yeah, my number 2 is, and I just forgot what it was. It was so good. No, it's related to the Gene Simmons vault, but it has to do with people coming out and doing the GoFundMe, or kind of, I don't know if it was GoFundMe, I can't remember which page it is, but to buy a vault experience, Gene Simmons vault experience for the Godfather, or Podfather, that is, Ken Mills. I thought that is just so cool. He's made so many friends out there through his podcast, his love of Kiss. He's basically the starter of the Kiss podcast. With the podcast show, and they have spin-offs that are all part of that now. But he's such a great guy. I haven't met him yet, but I hope to meet him. But just for what he's given and all the free podcasts that I've listened to over the years, it takes time, and it does take a little bit of money, but it's a lot of time. And I was glad or happy to donate to that, to give him because he can't afford it on his own. Just doesn't have that. It's kind of a thank you from his friends and fans, and it's a thank you from me to for all he's done in the Kiss world, and I wanted to contribute to that and get him a Gene Simmons vault. So that was a big deal. I think it's just I feel good. It makes me feel good about doing it for him. I'm doing something for him because he's he's done so much for me indirectly, but he has.
Yeah.
He happiness, just to what he's done in the past.
Nice.
Yep, 10 years of podcast. I can't think of anyone more deserving as well. And the Kiss Army's stepped up a couple of times this past year to help folks out. Obviously, Matt Porter needed a little bit of assistance earlier on in the year, and the Army and the listeners who respect what people do and the entertainment that these guys provide. There's an opportunity to give someone a cup of coffee, in the money form as a thank you, and let them, get something that they need or something that they otherwise want and couldn't have. So, 10 years of the podcast, and of course the fantastic Kiss Room, Zilch. And I always forget the name of the Cheap Trick one because he does so much. So
Cheap Talk.
Is it? I just don't have time to listen.
Yeah.
So
then the pop one too.
Yeah, Ken did make me buy some Cheap Trick albums this year, which I did, and I am still loving them. Working my way through that catalog, but I'm not going to catch up on 40 years of being a fan. They're good albums. So, Daniel.
I'm just. You talked about Cheap Trick. Have you ever heard the songs Vinnie Vincent did with that drummer from Black Sabbath?
Carmen.
Yeah.
No.
Heard them?
He did
because
I know
they did a few tracks back in 1980, and Carmen always said that Vinnie Vincent, or Vinnie Cusano as it was called
at the time.
At the time, he was such a great singer. He did these amazing solos, and I still have the tracks, he says.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him saying, well, maybe I should release them, because then Vinnie Vincent would come out of hiding and sue me. I think it was quite funny. But that was a few years ago. And I haven't heard those songs. They actually recorded a few songs, from what I understand. Carmen and Vinnie Cusano and a few other guys. But they haven't surfaced, I think. No?
No, because Carmen's got them, and that was Carmen Pieces. I always get his name wrong. Appice, Rockers. Because Vinnie co-wrote Drum City Rockers on his 1981 album, so that was one of the songs, but not Vinnie's performance, I don't think. Let me just look at... that was Danny Johnson on guitar on the actual studio version. So, there were quite a few. There are copyright registrations. I detailed in one of my books that there were other songs, and if he's got the tapes, then maybe they can do something with them and release it in time for the expo. Again, if it makes either of the money, that would be very cool. So.
Yeah. Was it my turn?
Yep, your turn.
Well, since Ken got so emotional and shared his...
I was very emotional.
He almost became teary-eyed over there. I have to say something that's more personal. Of course, I enjoy watching videos of Kiss live and hearing new songs and all, but really, what's important to me personally is, it's the Kiss Army, This thing we're doing right now. If I could have done this back in, 92, it would have blown my mind, Because back in 92, grunge just started happening. Now I enjoy the grunge music. I love Stone Temple Pilots, for example. They just got a new singer, by the way. And but back in the day, I hated them because no one cared about my band. No one. I mean, I was in what's equivalent in America? I think high school, maybe. I was 16 years old. I was the only guy that liked Kiss. This was in 92. And I just died to find someone to talk about Kiss with. There was no one around. I just watched my videos and I was like the odd man out, No one cared about Kiss. Well, that's kind of a good song. But listen to the Black album. It's much better. Okay. So this thing, being able to talk to other fans around the world, I think that's one of the highlights of the year for me, even though I maybe do it once a month. And English is my second language, so I can't really perform the way I want to. Do you speak any other languages, by the way? Do you have a second language?
Klingon? No, I don't. I don't. No, not really.
I did speak French, but because I don't use it, I don't remember it. But I was quite bilingual with that. I do speak some Spanish and a fair amount of. I did speak a fair amount of Japanese, especially when I had a Japanese girlfriend who didn't speak a fair amount of English. So.
There you go.
But again, you don't use it.
So it's hard to get you perform at like 55% or something. You can't be as funny. You can't be as I don't even know the word. Equivalent.
Eloquent.
Eloquent. Yeah,
See, you're doing fine.
No. You should hear me in Swedish, guys. You should hear me in Swedish. I fucking rule, But in English, I'm at 55%. So I'm trying my best, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to practice English with you guys. That's a main thing for me, because I read a lot of English. I watch a lot of American movies. I understand English, but to produce English and find the words, in a second, that's hard for me. And if you gave me a few seconds to think about all the words, I would perform better. But I'm trying my best, and I see this as a way of, sharing my love of a band that has meant so much for me through the years in all sorts of ways. And also I find the camaraderie in the Kiss Army as something really special. I don't have friends who like Metallica, Guns N' Roses. They don't have any friends that they get together with in other countries and speak about the band. No way. It's Kiss, and it's the Kiss Army. So I would salute the Kiss Army and keep on rocking, guys.
That's a really great sentiment. And you say you're running at 55% when you're thinking in Swedish and speaking in English. That's a damn sight better than me at my best with my French. Would probably be at about 15%. And
Je m'appelle Julian. J'habite en America.
There would be, every time I've been to France, they've been fantastic. I've spoken French. I've gotten by, and I could handle it now. We're 20 years on. Forget it. Not going to happen. But they always put me out of my misery because I made an effort. Someone would flip into English and probably say in their head, "Stop butchering our language, you bloody English plonker." But it's tough to try and think it and say it unless you're at the level where it does come naturally. So getting on a show, and it's always been an important part of the KissFAQ podcast to get people on from all over the place. I mean, Mark speaks Canadian, and these guys...
I can't even see a difference. I can't hear a difference between Mark and you, but you hear a difference, I guess.
Yeah.
To me, it's all the same.
It's all good. And, we'd love to get Sammy on from South America and get that aspect represented, and some of the other folks. But the camaraderie and the Kiss Army, is an important thing. And in the past couple of weeks, we have lost a member of the Kiss Army, who was on the board. Mike's Kiss, 1978, passed on unexpectedly. And you get to know these folks on and offline, have conversations, whether it's via email, whether it's on podcasts or on Facebook. And people more than just a random posting on a message board. So, long may podcasts bring us together rather than keep us apart. So, great stuff. All right, so number 2 pick for me, LA Kiss Expo with Peter Criss, January. Ken, obviously getting to meet you and hang out with you on the long drive down and just play through the playlist, and that was a blast. But the actual expo, running a table there, doing the VIP experience with Peter, was just absolutely incredible. And Peter and Gigi were fantastic, and it's going to be a fond memory for the rest of my life of how excellent that expo was. I said I wanted to do an expo again, and I got to. And I didn't have to go to Indy. Sorry, Keith. Forgive me. Indy still remains the one expo I want to go to every year, and it's the one I'm always bummed to miss. And, some of the Scandinavian ones I'd love to go to. But, that whole expo, meeting people who've purchased books from me, or people who know of the FAQ and watch our show, and, shaking hands, signing some of the books as well, and getting to thank people for the support that they've given me, the website, I guess also the band to a certain extent over the years, and having Bruce come up and just start telling a random story to us. It was just freaking cool. Meeting Tim. Yeah. Obviously, geez, Tim. That was a super cool moment for me after, I had met him before in 2008, but, with everything that had gone down with getting the books into print, it was wonderful to see him. Ken Sharp.
Yeah.
Mark Cicchini, Tommy Summers. Yeah. So many people. Harlequin from the board. Yeah. There were so many people there. So getting to go around some of the LA places as well. The kind of seeing that I didn't do the tour. You didn't either because we were driving back. But it was so much better than I expected it to be, and I didn't have to stand in that horrible line. So, Derek, if you can do just as good a job with Vinny as you did with Peter in LA, yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Agree.
All right, Ken.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick because, I was going to say that my number one pick was going to be the Kiss compilation, Kiss World, on CD. But no, that's not it, really.
Yay! Another compilation.
Another compilation. That's maybe the other one. Anyway, that's not my number one. Is the LA Kiss Expo that happened in January last year. And like you said, Julian, we got down. We went together down there, and the drive that takes 6 hours or so felt like 2 hours. It's seriously the way we were talking about Kiss, and not only Kiss, other music, and then demos, hearing Crazy Nights stuff, and secret stuff too. But that was fantastic part of it, and then just being down there and meeting Peter Criss for the first time was very good. It was a very nice experience. Got the big hug and the photo, and it was really, really cool. We saw John at that day. We saw John 5 and so on.
Rob Zombie, Steven Adler.
Rob Zombie. Right, Steven Adler. Yeah. And then the actual expo itself was great. We had the KissFAQ booth there that Julian has, and he's selling all his books, and all these people coming up, and people that have either watched the show or listened to the show. We're meeting in person. It was interesting. It was nice to see them. Yeah, go ahead.
What did they tell you? Did they say something about the voice of reason, something like that?
I think someone said the voice of reason to me, no. Most of them show they said they watched the show or listened to the show, and enjoy it very much. Keep it going and that sort of stuff. Yeah. They did a lot of stuff with Julian about I love all your books, Julian, and I have this book. The books he was selling, they already had. They said, "Oh, I already have that book," or they bring a book they already had and had Julian sign it too.
But I think it's quite interesting because Julian, he's a name, since he's written a lot of books.
He's the big name. I was just a side.
You're just a podcaster. So it's interesting to hear. Did anyone they recognized you and they told you about what they thoughts about what you did on the show, and they talked about that, I guess.
Yeah. I want to say Gary Muse was one of them.
Greg Muse.
And very nice guy.
Remember having whiskey in the hotel afterwards as well?
With the other what's his name? But yeah, it was nice, and hearing something, even though we're just doing it for our own. To me, my own fun talking to other Kiss fans about Kiss, right? Yeah. But other people getting something out of it and enjoyment out of it, listening to it, and kind of in their own mind they're talking to us, or they have thoughts about it their own as we talk about it, which is the same way I feel when I'm listening to other Kiss podcasts.
I think it's kind of crazy because I went to a show a few months ago, and I haven't even told my friends that I do this because nobody in my town likes Kiss, so no one's really interesting. And the only reason they would watch this is because they would, kind of downgrade my English or something. That would be the reason. But so I never tell anyone. Then I was at a concert in a bigger city, a few miles from here. And then a guy comes up to me. You're the guy from KissFAQ Podcast. I'm like, what the hell? Who are you?
You watched that?
Yeah, I watched the show. I like what you're doing. That's so cool. I mean, I think it's so cool.
closet Kiss fans, you know.
Yeah, and here's the thing, you know, it was very nice to have appreciation shown that people have enjoyed what we do here, but we're not doing anything that any of them could not do. Any one of those people who came up to us could be on this show and be a part of this conversation. We're not doing anything that makes us special as podcasters. We're just fans getting together and talking. We don't build up a fan following for what we do.
No.
We're not different, or we're not like a 32nd level Mason, you know, because we do a podcast. No, forget all that. We're no different. We're not better than anyone. We're just...
And we're welcoming others to join. Anyone can join.
We always do. You know, whenever I meet people and they say they like it or they like to try it, come on, try it. You know, you may not.
Sure.
But it's pretty interesting. Not too many people do it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, you can meet people, and you say, well, let's do it. Let's go on the show. But something stops them. I'm not sure what it is. Because when we started this, I was thinking, well, we'll get a few guys from South America, a few from, you know, Australia, and we'll get a few from Spain, France. This will be great. We'll be like...
And a female.
Yeah. I've given up on that one a long time ago. But you know, yeah, and a female. But really, it's hard to find people who wants to... I guess they want to do it, but something's stopping them.
Yep, schedules, time zones, you know.
I think it's that.
Maybe just not being comfortable with it. I mean, if you get the opportunity to do it, go on. You know, come on.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this right now and you're like, yeah, you know, my New Year's resolution is I'm going to do an episode of the KissFAQ podcast. I've got a really good topic. Bring it, or bring it to if you're a fan of podcast, shoot Ken a PM. Say, hey, you know, I've got this great idea for a podcast episode I'd like to do with you. Because Julian's an asshole, I don't want to do it with them. Or call into the Kiss room, or you know, any of them. 3 sides, podcast Rot City. I can't even go through the whole list. Potter Than Hell. There's just so many Kiss podcasts that whichever one's got people who resonate with what you are as a fan. You know, it doesn't hurt to reach out and say, hey, I've got an idea, but I'd like to be a part of the conversation. And you never know, maybe you can be a part of the conversation. You know, you're always welcome to come on our show.
Yep.
And thank you for listening to our show all the time. We you know, here we are. We're coming up.
Having listeners, huh? I'm not sure. Yeah.
We're coming up to 3 years. So.
Wow.
Cool.
All right. So where are we up to? We're up to you've done.
So I did my number 1. That was the LA Kiss Expo from last year. So Daniel's number 1 there.
I have I have nothing in the vicinity of that one because I haven't done that much Kiss stuff myself. But one thing that I have been waiting for a lot of years, and I thought it would be really, really cool, was seeing Gene Simmons perform live.
Oh yeah,
by himself.
That's right.
Without the others. And he did a brief stint in South America, and it was really good. A few years ago, I don't really remember when it was, maybe 5-6 years ago. Mm-hmm. You know, with a lot of other celebratory musicians. I think it was Matt Sorum on the drums and Sebastian.
Oh, yeah.
And he looked fantastic doing it. He did Juice and a few other songs, and it looked great. He was kind of Gene Revenge era type, you know?
Yeah.
So ever since that day, I thought maybe there's a possibility that he will do it. But I have never thought it would happen. And then it did. But it's more like Kiss Lounge Gene Simmons, or what you say, you mean, you know, it's not hard rock Gene Simmons, but still, I enjoy the shows I've seen online, and the material he pulls out, like Charisma and stuff like that, is just fantastic to hear live. And he sings great, still to this day, and he's quite funny in between songs as well. And he treats it like, I'm just doing this for fun. And you're welcome to join me on stage. And I think I like the tour he's done. And That is one of my top picks, Gene Simmons' solo tour. I never thought it would come into fruition. I never thought it would do it, but it works really good. And the band that he plays with, they pick up for, Gene, he stands around most of the time, but the other guys, they know all the moves, and it looks like a great show, and that's one of my top picks.
Well, that's a fantastic pick, and obviously, I did get to go to Edmonton and see him, and his version of Charisma is nearly as good as Craig Smith's. Just the songs that he's dug out of his catalog are just fantastic. I was bummed that he didn't do Almost Human at mine, but come on, he did Charisma. He did, obviously. I always say it's my gotta have song. Deuce, Ladies in Waiting, Domino. So for me, I didn't have this on my list because there were so many other good things that happened in the year, but it is high up there as an incredible thing that I never expected Gene Simmons to do a solo tour and to do it as well. And now he's got Brett Fitz on drums.
Yeah, on the drums.
Phil, the other guys, the Nashville Guitar Mafia, as I like to call them, they are an incredibly talented bunch of musicians that complement Gene. Gene and his presentation have, they've started to develop. I don't like people going up on stage. That's sacrosanct to me. You stay the fuck off stage. I always worry about, what is today? Today is the anniversary. Dimebag.
Yeah.
Dimebag. But come on, they got John Lennon, so he wasn't on stage. But I don't like the girls going up there and hey, selfie.
They don't even know the songs, and no.
But it's cool. I will say that. And in Edmonton, when everyone did the Mad Rush at the end, and I'm just like, I'm not going up. I have no interest whatsoever. I've been on a stage. Back in the 2004. Meet and greet, they took us on stage for a group picture. Not with Gene Simmons performing 3 feet away, but it's a great experience for some of those who are into that sort of thing. So, Gene has done very well. And, I want to talk about some of the things that I want in 2018. I want the Gene Simmons band to record a fucking album and include a live album in it.
What about Soul Station?
No, I don't want. No, I want Gene Simmons to record an album with these guys. He can bring in some of his scraps and work them up with these guys. Go give them a copy of the Vault or the Vault leftovers and say, hey guys, which ones of these do you think we can turn into a song?
Because there's going to be a few leftovers, don't you think?
Oh, there's a couple hundred. For the Gene Simmons Vault too. So I would love to see what those guys, them being younger than Gene, can do with some of his ideas from the past to knock them into songs as an album, but also have a definite, DVD from one of these shows. And there's a couple of DVDs that are now circulating from the South American shows, and you can watch the full things up on YouTube. And they are just stunning. Watch them with the South American audiences. Fuck the Americans and the Canadians. You can't compare to how those guys and girls in South America know how to go to a rock concert.
Yeah.
Loco.
Edmonton was really, really cool. Really great fans, but, he had to basically scream for everyone to get up off their asses. Whereas in South America, they're fucking pogoing the whole time, the whole show. So that's my hope for Gene Simmons is take that and roll with it, because if you're going to take that band around with you, you got to do something. I don't care what the business model is. You don't need to hand deliver me a Gene Simmons band album, but I think you should do one, and you should definitely have a live commemorative. All right, number 1 pick for me. You're not going to be particularly surprised, or maybe. Peter Criss, The Last Chris, New York City. Number 1, being able to do it with my schedule, my life, it's a shock. But
what do you do that takes so much time? I remember you speaking about soccer practice a lot. Is it still going on?
Yeah, my son plays club soccer, so I do not like missing family things. My father-in-law was also sick for 4.5 years before passing last month. So I didn't want to be away. I didn't want to book things and kind of do stuff that I might have to cancel because you just never knew when it was going to be. So I don't want to miss my son's games. It's one of those things I try not to do unless I'm deathly sick. So now he's older. Now my schedule at work is freeing up. I do work in healthcare, and it's very hard for me to get away from my job. I was able to do the Peter Criss concert in New York. And to get back to New York, where you have to remember, I lived in upstate New York, in Binghamton, from 1978 to 88. So New York State and me have a relationship. It was my best memories of snowmobiles and motorbikes and shooting and all sorts of stuff I can't mention on air. Getting to New York City to see fucking Peter Criss perform in a club in New York City at what may well be his very final performance. To sit there 10 feet away from the Catman, the one and only Catman, and no disrespect meant to Eric, but him coming on stage when we knew he was sick and going into I Can't Stop the Rain as a holy shit moment. There you are. You could basically reach out and touch the Catman. He's so small and he's looking unwell.
Fragile.
He was looking fragile. And his voice broke at the beginning. And then he found strength and his band brought, Sister's Doll again. Very good musicians. And to have Peter up in a club with brass doing his songs, and I got the one I wanted. I only wanted I Can't Stop the Rain. Everything else, I really didn't care what he did. And what he did was Kiss classics with a brass accompaniment, which I just was like, okay, this is going to be like symphony, which everyone knows I despise, those juvenile arrangements that were done for that. Peter's were classy. Peter's were perfect. And he was perfect. He was fantastic behind the kit. He was fantastic in front of the kit. And there was just tears throughout. I mean, it was so emotional. And him dedicating, You Matter to Me to the lady from Japan who'd flown in was just really classy, and him handing out roses to the audience. The dinner was great. Gigi was fantastic. The guests, I didn't go in the VIP section. I opted to sit up front with Scott, and it would have been nice to say hi to Eddie Trunk and some of the other characters who were there, but it was just. The photo that hangs behind me of me with Peter after the show, he came back up, didn't know it was going to happen, and he worked his way around every single person. For any criticism that's been leveled at Peter, I'm sure a lot of them are completely valid. I didn't ever experience a negative thing with Peter Criss, be it 2003, be it 2000, or 2017. And to finally get to see Peter Criss solo, yeah. That's my number one pick for this year, and it may well be in the very top of all the things I've experienced as a Kiss fan.
Top 10.
Yeah. So,
all right. I think it's all great that he went around and cheered and greeted all the audience, but the performance was spectacular, and that was the biggest surprise to me. I could never in my mind have thought that he could perform like that today. When listening to him back in '97,
yeah, he absolutely nailed it. And again, I listen to this show over and over and over. I'm surprised by how much I listen to it, which is why I just hope they release it so that everyone, I have my own copy of it, and no one can have it because it's mine, and I want people to experience that, and they filmed it. So I really, really, really hope they can put it together and get it out there next year, so that we can continue to celebrate the Catman. I go for my walks, and I just put that on, and I'm smiling like a shithead. I probably look like a village idiot. Okay, I usually look like a village idiot. Walking around the streets, just grinning inanely still, nearly a year on. That's the effect that it's had on me. And obviously I don't have Ace Frehley's show on my list, which I thoroughly enjoyed this year because it's not as special as Peter Criss coming out and doing what may be the last Criss. Let's get into, before we wrap up here.
Yeah.
We've had all the good. We've had everything great, but we're Kiss fans.
Bad.
We're gonna limit it to just one, your least, your worst, or whatever you want it to be from the year, and we'll go the same order that we've done. Ken.
Okay. Well, the least is something that didn't happen that I was hoping would happen.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
I'm probably gonna guess.
No, you're not. Well, you might.
Hmm.
No. It's actually the documentary.
Okay.
No, then I would have been totally wrong.
It was something else, probably, right? No, it was a Kiss documentary that never is finished, supposedly, and we thought it might come out this year as a new title, like Gods of Thunder or something like that. But it still hasn't, surfaced. So that's the disappointment. I mean, they hyped it up at the beginning. It was finished. I know Kiss screened it, or at least Gene and Paul did. But there must be something in there that either there's rights or something with the suit, or it's something they just don't like the way they come across, maybe in that. That's what I'm thinking. But these other we've seen these other great documentaries. I've seen, like, the Eagles, for instance.
Rush.
Great, Rush. I wish I have that one. The Eagles. Tom Petty. Excuse me. These are 4-hour documentaries. Some of these, and what the heck, I can't even understand why Kiss can't have a solid documentary out about the whole history. And there is so much history. I mean, theirs could be 10-hour, with all the things that have happened throughout the years. And so it's a disappointment that we're not seeing that. I just want a good, solid, truthful, hopefully, documentary. And maybe that's why it's not out, because it's too truthful.
From what I've heard about it, and I have no inside knowledge whatsoever, I've heard shit just like many other people have, is that it was screened and Paul hated it because it was kind of based around the Tom Snyder interview.
Yeah, I heard that one as well.
So,
but Carl, what's the name of the Carl Gooch?
Kurt Gooch.
Kurt Gooch, yeah.
He seemed to have been working on that for quite a big amount of time. He was hired by them to work on that documentary, from what I understand. And he dug out some great footage, but it never came into fruition, unfortunately.
I think he gave it to the director.
Yeah.
Maybe some footage. He gave it to the director of it.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it was Paul Stanley killing it. We all know.
Well, I thought you were going to say Paul Stanley killing somebody on film. That would be good.
That would be something. For me, it's the same thing. My pick is in the same vein as Ken. Missing out on things. Wait a minute. Vänta ett tag. Jag kommer snart. Men du måste vänta lite. Jag ska säga en sak. Jag pratar live. Live. Ja, vänta lite. Live. It's the same word in Swedish,
Yeah.
And
she's like, I don't care.
I have a 6-year-old kid here wanting me to do something. You have
to
wait.
A cookie.
She's a handful.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm missing out on a few things. Of course, new music. I didn't really expect that.
Mm-hmm.
And we at least we got the GeneSimmonsVault.com, the new music, if you can call it that. It isn't really new music, but new releases at least. And also the lack of activity in the Kiss camp. I think they could have done a lot more. Kissology, whatever happened to that series, they finished it. It's ready to go. They don't release it. They do a few shows, not really a tour. And, of course, vad är det? Ja, men du måste ju vänta. Vänta ett tag. Okay, and there's, the upside is, of course, that we get the Gene Simmons tour and Soul Station. and stuff like that. But I would have liked them to release at least something, video or music. But they didn't, from what I recall, at least. Nothing that caught my interest. And I think that's a bad year when you don't release anything new or any live video. Back in the day, you could always count on them. If they didn't release an album, at least you got a video. You know?
Yeah.
You know, 92, Revenge. 93, Kiss Alive, Kiss Confidential. 94, Kiss My Ass, tribute album. And the video. So you always had something back in the 90s. But this year, it's been kind of, you know, nothing much happening from the Kiss camp. And that's my biggest, you know, regret of this year, is that they didn't release anything of value that I will cherish.
Yeah, and probably, you know, with Kiss Rocks Vegas coming late in 2016, look how long it takes for them to do anything these days when it comes to product. I could vent about their continued refusal to do anything for Record Store Day when Universal is sitting on such a back catalog of material and ideas. There are so many different things that are being suggested, whether they're vinyl copies of the very best of Kiss in colored vinyl, or doing the solo albums in heavy grade colored vinyl. Whatever. Exactly. There are just so many things that are being ignored that I would love to give my money for, that, you know, I kind of give up to a certain extent. The thing that pissed me off the most this year, what really grinds my gears, is my meet and greet experience in Edmonton. As much as I loved traveling to Canada, traveling to Edmonton and meeting all the fans there to see the show with them, and Cassius, you know, Mark, so many folks. I had a fantastic time. This is nothing about the show. This is nothing about Gene himself, because he didn't run the meet and greet. That was run by Wizard World or whoever the Edmonton Expo Comic Con people were. And to end up with a meet and greet photo that looks like that.
You have the best ever meet and greet photo.
I mean, are you fucking kidding me? $300. I purchased the package. It was an impulse buy the night before. That a fucking photographer.
The elder photo. You have to show that one. That's the best ever. Gene looking over your shoulder at the shirt.
Yeah, so
that's like
the other one. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that totally offsets that horrible thing. But that is Gene, action figure Gene. You know, just like standing there looking
cardboard stand-up,
bored out of his fucking mind. You know, it's before the show. And the photographers did not do their job, because obviously I'm not on cue for where they were, and I don't freak out in these. At least I don't think I do. I guess it's a possibility, but I hadn't had a beer yet. So, you know, it's unacceptable to serve that up. I would rather have gone on the website afterwards and just had a blurry blank thing and say, sorry, your photo did not come out, than have them try and have that fucking thing as there's your $300 meet and greet experience photo with Gene Simmons. You are fucking kidding me. But, you know, if that's the low point of my year, that's a pretty good low point, because I got to go up and see Gene Simmons live in concert after he canceled the one that we were going to go to in LA, right? So I at least got to see him. So, you know, it's not Gene's fault. I'm totally not blaming him. He put on a hell of a show. The people who were organizing the meet and greet were doing the best they could. You know, no disrespect meant to them. The photographers, if you say you're ready and I pose, and I see the flashes, and then you give me that, you're fucking. And there were two of you as well, so I'll put that down to the shit happens.
Yeah.
You know, the other guy, if that's the best picture they got, what did the other guy What's the other folder like?
Yeah. So, if nothing else, I do have that fantastic picture from the Reno meet and greet in the 20 seconds it took to have done of Gene looking over my shoulder to make sure my shirt was yeah, so that totally offsets it. All right, let's wrap this up. So those are our top 5 Kiss things from 2017. What are some of yours? I mean, what are your high points? Everyone's obviously going to have their own because there are lots of people who are in Europe who did get to go to the shows. Where else did they play? Well, I can't remember. Who else did you get to see? Some people got to see the Hewlett guys. Some got to see Ace. Australia got visited by 4x Fate and Ace and Alice Cooper and Bruce. So, there was a lot of stuff going around this year. So do chime in wherever you listen, whether you're on Facebook, on the KissFAQ, or also with your top 5 and what really bummed you out this year. And KissFAQ Podcast is not an answer for that last one. All right, so we better let Daniel get to his 6-year-old before he's dragged off by the hair. All right, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll hopefully see you again soon. And Ken, as always, thank you. And to everyone who's listened, thank you, and we will see you next time. Bye. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ Podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.